Hey, what's up? You know what? For this video, I'm just gonna talk about WTM, like for the whole thing until I get bored or I feel like I'm gonna run out of storage on my phone. WTM is What's the Move. What's the Move is an app I'm working on. It's basically an event discovery platform. I'm gonna try and read off the description, but before I get to the description, it's basically an event discovery platform that integrates some social aspects so it's more engaging and it has more user engagement. And you just feel like basically anytime you feel like what's going on around you, you just go on the app. So it's mainly designed for college campuses as of now. um I do think I hope to expand it to like more places, but I think college campuses is the best breeding ground for this idea because college campuses, people have similar schedules, people have similar ideas of like what they want to do for fun, and it's just like you have all these unique diverse people try and find people like themselves. So it's really a nice place. I think if I just go too broad, then it's not going to be a true tried and true market for it. So that's why I'm really happy with the college idea. Also, I'm in college right now, so I'm able to work in it where I'm working, which is awesome. Give me a second. I sent the designs to my friend. Okay. WTM, I'm going to explain it again. WTM is a campus based app that helps college students discover public and private events happening around them, like club meetings, hangouts, and parties. There are real time map and personalized recommendations. So users can follow friends, save favorite spots, and build their own vibe based profile to see it and share what's actually going on nearby. So the idea, like I just said, is really just being in the know of what's going on around you. And I think what's also cool is that I think something I've been reflecting on, I think I touched on this before, is like as people who build, right? As I guess inventors, entrepreneurs, coders, programmers, artists, whatever. I feel like a lot of what you build or create is something you wish you had, like something you don't have, right? And I think that's really interesting as like because I think I'm always trying to see like what's something like when I did my first year in college, I was curious about events that I would actually be interested in going to. I could really never know what those events were, but if there was an app like this, then then maybe I could have found stuff like that where I was like, I'm interested in just going to it. And there was like there were events that I actually did feel like going to, like whether it be parties, club meetings, stuff like that. Even though I feel like I went to like parties every 3 months, but um I think if this could work, then it could help out a lot of people. It could also help with the whole loneliness epidemic thing because I do think people have a desire to be social. It's just a matter of having the means and motivation and incentives to do so. Um, but yeah, so some stuff I've actually been thinking about when designing this app, for instance, is I think the biggest barrier is really just encouraging people to go to events with strangers, which sounds crazy initially, but technically that's what you always do. It's just a matter of going with people you know. Um, and I think that's like the biggest hurdle. I think one of the biggest things that actually made me happy is the stuff like Uber and Airbnb have succeeded. So I do think people are able to overcome that mental hurdle of being able to trust strangers. I also think having, since it's starting off for college, it's going to have an authorization system that's designed to use college emails, even though that there's still danger, like oh, college students obviously doing evil things and all that. I do think that limits the amount of danger to like some random dude on the street who wants to do evil things to people. So that does make me happy. I think another thing is just as I'm designing the app, that's like the biggest thing I'm trying to account for. Is like that safety, the idea of safety and making sure people do go to these events. Another thing I'm also thinking about, and I've really been talking to AI about this a lot, is trying to see this is an app that only works if stuff are going on in the app. So, for example, let's say I download the app, I'm a random person, download the app, and then there's no events going on. I'm never going to use the app again. Right? I'm not going to be the first one to plan the event. And I think what my counter to that is that during the launching period of this app, I'm really just going to have to launch a bunch of events and try and like get people, pay people, whatever I have to do just to try and get a bunch of unique events going on. I don't want it to be something that's like something that's done before. I want it to be something very niche, something very unique that catches your eye. Like, oh, bro, this is going on campus. So maybe like mascots playing Super Smash Bros. I've been using Super Smash Bros. For all of the mock-up designs, but like maybe mascots playing Super Smash Bros. In like the park or something, or just other something more even more random than that, just to grab people's attention, get word of mouth spreading. Um, yeah. Also, another thing I was interested in, I think has been really good for my user design skills. It's not something I've really worked on. It's not something I've really focused on. But since I'm working on the wireframe, then actually the next step of actually like making a mock-up design, I've actually had to like think of stuff like, oh, how can I best design this app to work for people? I'm really happy I went through that route, because if I had just gone through the just get the coding route, there's a lot of ideas I would never have thought of. So stuff like having short form content like on the app would have been something I would never have thought of. I may have never have thought of if I just went to coding, because the idea of having short form content, let's say you're trying to figure out what's the move, what's the vibe you're going for, you can just like before you head out for the night, you can just sit on your phone, look at what events are going on, like actual clips from the events that are going on around you, and you can be like, oh dang, that looks interesting, let me go. Because I think just knowing the events going on around you, you never know like what's the vibe. Is the event dead, or like is it like is are stuff actually going on there? But yeah, even having like an account where you can like see what people like, what events people really like to go to. Maybe you can say like, oh, this is my favorite coffee spot, stuff like that. Having that personalization is something I think is really big. I think what I've been trying to do is try and find a kind of a parent app to kind of get inspired from, and it's been hard. Mainly because I don't want to just be like, I think if I copy Instagram, it's gonna be a watered down Instagram. If I copy Snapchat, it's gonna be a watered down Snapchat. So I really have to try and take the best elements from all of those. But I also think those apps in themselves, I think, have a very they I feel like they work because they're big, right? I feel like they work because of the scale they're at. But I think with something like this, you're really I don't know if blood scaling is the term, but I think I can't I can't build as if I have 1 billion people in the app, right? I have to build it like I have 100 people, and I can scale it and I can make the appropriate adjustments. And what I mean by that is like even like when I was thinking of like the design layout, I was thinking maybe I should go with something more plain, something more like, oh okay, maybe something like an Instagram user interface, which feels much more minimalist. Maybe I should go for something like that. But now I was looking into it, like maybe that's not the best approach, because you want something that initial users can really really love and not just like. And that's something I'm still curious about. Like if maybe that's not the approach I should go with. Maybe I should go with an approach where everyone will like it. Maybe not that many people will love it. Or if I should go with the approach of like, okay, um, instead of having 1,000 people that like it, 1,000 even big for I guess launch, but instead of having 1,000 people that like it, I have since instead of having 1,000 people who love it, I have 100 people who love it, and 1,000 people, maybe 500 people who aren't that fond of it, and maybe a 400 people who kind of like it, right? I think that's that 100 people I think is what does. I think the 100 people is more beneficial, because there are the people who are going to constantly be using the app, and time other people get on the app, versus like 1,000 people who just like it a bit and it's like, okay, maybe they use it for a couple times and it's like they stop using it at all. And I think the reason I'm still confident going into this market in the first place, even though it's not a market it's a market that's saturated, is I don't think anyone has really figured out the event discovery. I can't speak. I don't think anyone has really figured out the event discovery space. Um, and I say that because no, when it comes to stuff like that, like I think I'm surrounding myself with diverse people. And maybe that's the fallacy I live in, but I think I surround myself with diverse people, and the fact that most people around my see like from different groups of life or different walks of life don't really use event discovery platforms like that. Um, I think points to two ideas, or points to two theories, in that either there's just no good event discovery platforms, or the other theory, which I hope is not the truth, is that people just don't care for them at all. I think it's ultimately the former, where um, there's not really a true event discovery platform that you feel like using. And I think what I was looking to, and I talked about this a previous episode ago, is that it, people really just don't engage with them a lot. They probably use like one time, but like after that, they never really get into that. They never become consistent with using the app. Like for Instagram, I'm really consistent with using Instagram as much as I don't want to be, because it just feels addicting. It feels like I'm gaining. I feel like there's people I'm seeing. There's aspects to it, but with event discovery platforms, I just don't think there's that magic. I've downloaded some. I like even in Chicago, I was curious what's going on around me, and it just didn't feel that magic. I didn't feel that hook when I was using the apps. And I really think I want to try and recreate that hook. I think the key to that is personalization. I think it's uniqueness. And it's difficult because I also know it's another event discovery platforms. I think rely on the idea of stuff happening around you because if something is more than like a mile away from me, I'm not going to go to it, right? And that's why I guess the college campus idea is really fascinating to me because then like everything is pretty much in a walking distance, at least for a lot of these college campuses. So that does a part to the approach, but it's just a matter of how many people actually create events. And I think that's the biggest issue, like I talked about at the beginning. Another issue I ran into, and sorry, I apologize for the jaga jaga nature of this video, but another issue I ran into, or I'm still tackling, is the idea of monetization. Cause I think this is obviously an app that has to make money somehow. And initially, I wasn't like, I didn't think that was the goal, but like I do think to run an app and to scale something like this, it does have to make money, and I don't necessarily know. I think the revenues of the ways I see this making money as of now is through having certain features, maybe tier subscriptions or features. For example, I was looking through the idea of pins. Right, like on Google Maps, you can put a pin to the location you want to go to. So that's how the map interface is going to work. So I was looking at the idea of pins for this, and maybe we can have like basic pins, like maybe a game controller pin and maybe like a food pin and all that, like different types of events you might throw. But then once you want to like be more unique, or if you're like an organization running stuff, maybe you could like subscribe or something to have more unique pins, or even upload your own pins to kind of build that brand recognizability or whatever. Maybe also have like do pay promotions, or where if you want like ping people like, oh, you want to get your event out there to more people, you can try like you pay the WTM to try and promote you more. Um, I don't know. I don't think I've gone to that stage in my head where the money aspect has even gone to like. I don't think it detracts from the app itself yet, because I think there's still ways to make it fun and engaging while still making sure it does make money. But I don't think it has to make money in the first couple of years. To be honest, I think the biggest thing is just really gathering users who use this app consistently. And once you lock them in, you can implement like the features that people have to pay for, and hopefully it's not even people. Hopefully it's like just big companies paying for it. I think it'll be more useful on that end. Uh, but yeah, those are my thoughts so far. There's a couple of stuff I'm working on. Finish up the mock designs, and then from there I'm going to get into the coding. I'm going to upload a picture of the Discover page on my Instagram tonight, so we'll see. But besides, I have nothing else to say, so have a great day.